Time for Worldview with Denis Campbell. Dennis is editor-in-chief of UK Progressive Magazine, also the host of Worldview Show on YouTube at youtube.com/Worldview Show. Dennis, we were reading about UK passing marriage equality. Tell us a little bit about the bill. In other words, is it real marriage equality, or is it like some of the bills we see here in the US that it's kind of separate but equal? And is this even really a big deal to most people in the UK?
No, it really is marriage equality, in the most traditional sense of it, and that, same-sex partners can marry in the United Kingdom. And it had a little bit of drama leading up to the actual debate. Members of the Catholic Church were very upset with the idea. However, the Church of England was very much nonplussed about it because there have been gay bishops in the church. But funny thing, there haven't been any women bishops, and that's another issue. But, once the decision was taken that this was the way it was going to be, it passed by an overwhelming majority. And quite frankly, the opposition came from where one would expect it to be, the far-right conservative side of the Tory party, those that were the more moderate. And the head of the party, David Cameron, the prime minister, is a man in his early 40s, and for whom this would not necessarily be the kind of late 40s, excuse me. This would not be the kind of issue for his generation and our generation as it would be for some of the members of the backbench and members of the Tory party that are in their 70s and 80s.
There's sometimes maybe it's a misinterpretation here in the U.S. that there's just overwhelming support for marriage equality in Europe, period. And we saw some anti-gay protests in France in the last couple of months. So that small but existent faction that opposed marriage equality, how vocal are they? How known are they?
Well, I mean, they are out there, but they're no way. They don't get the kind of media oxygen that they get in the United States, for example. There is no Fox News. I mean, even Sky News, which tends to be a little bit more yellow in terms of its journalism and much more opinionated, is still a professional news gathering organization, whereas Fox is just a clown car. So when we look at it from that perspective, it doesn't get the kind of long-term energy and oxygen mentioned 8, 9, 10 times a day. It happens, it gets covered, it's gone, it disappears. France is very close to doing the same thing within their parliament. They yesterday had a vote, and it looks as though it will come before the full parliament sometime even before the end of this week. So marriage equality is on the fast track throughout much of Europe. But Europe has always been a much more liberal place to live and be. The attitude of most governments is that of what goes on in your bedroom is your business and nobody else's. I had an interview, for example, which went out last night on the YouTube channel with a Dutch member of Parliament, Harry van Bommel, and we talked about what's happening politically inside of the Netherlands with the abdication of the Queen and the soon-to-be young prince taking over. And we both came to the same sort of conclusion that, if anything, the issues are more xenophobic and anti-immigration as opposed to marriage equality. There's a very far-right party in the Netherlands, just as there's a very far-right party here in the United Kingdom, that are very much against anything to do with immigration and anything to do with Islamic immigration parties, bodies, etc. So that's the bigger issue than gay marriage.
Is there any expectation that there will be any kind of challenge to what was passed, the way we've seen in the U.S. with Prop 8, for example? Or is this really just, even if you're against it, it's settled and that's it?
Well, it's not fully settled. It still has to go before the House of Lords. But the House of Lords is not like the United States Senate in that, the two come together and craft one bill. If something passes in the House of Commons, it has to be a fairly spectacularly bad bill or horrific situation with lots of public upset for the Lords to overturn it. But it's not predicted that that's going to be the case at all.
So how does this then feed into the other conversation about equality and rights in Europe, which is that of women?
Well, that's going to continue to be an issue. I mean, this is still, in most respects, a very paternalistic society, particularly in the United Kingdom, because of the tradition and the years of history. And we did have a situation where there was a vote amongst the Church of England, which is the Anglican, would be the Episcopal Church inside of the U.S., and they voted to deny women the right to become bishops in the Church of England. That said, there are several sects, synods within various Episcopal dioceses in the United States and around the world where women have the right to become bishops, become leaders in the church itself. So it's simply a matter of time. And when the church voted again, this was back in the fall, to not allow women to become bishops in the church, the decision was taken that they would pursue this anyways and put it back on the fast track. And we have a new leader of the Anglican Church, a new Archbishop of Canterbury. So it's expected that this will probably happen sometime in the spring.
All right, we're going to keep an eye on that story. We'll certainly be following up with you about it. I encourage everybody to check out Denis's YouTube channel, youtube.com/worldviewshow. Denis is editor-in-chief of UK Progressive Magazine and joins us on Thursdays. Denis, thanks as always.
Thank you.